Okay, so Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and a very good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Halal Tourism 101, episode 4, proudly brought to you by CrescentRating Academy. It's great to see many of you joining us today. If this is your first time, a very warm welcome. And for those who joined us in the earlier episodes of our free webinar series, it's wonderful to meet you again. We'll be starting in about 5 minutes, just to give a little more time for others to join. So please make yourselves comfortable, and we'll begin shortly. So once again, welcome everyone to Halal Tourism 101, episode 4, titled How to Target the New Wave of Young Muslim Travelers. We're delighted to have you with us on this session today, on the 12th of November 2025. Next slide, please. Before we go into today's program, let me share a little bit about this webinar series. This is Halal Tourism 101 free webinar series, a set of 5 free educational sessions specially curated to equip industry professionals, marketeers, and educators with a deep understanding of the Muslim-friendly travel market. If you'd like to stay updated on the next episodes and other learning opportunities, do follow us on our Instagram at CrescentRating.Academy so you won't miss out on the upcoming episodes. We have already done 3 episodes previously, and currently this is the 4th one. We'll have another episode, so stay tuned for the final episode. For those who missed our earlier episodes, you can find the first and second episodes available up on our YouTube channel right now. Next slide, please. A quick reminder on our program guidelines. We encourage you to actively participate. Feel free to engage and share your thoughts, as we believe all your thoughts can enrich today's learning. You may type your questions in the Zoom chat at any time. If the speaker wishes, she may address them immediately. Otherwise, your questions will be covered during the Q&A session at the end. Next slide, please. Now it's my pleasure to introduce our speaker today, Mr. Tawfiq Ikhtianto, the Research and Capacity Building Manager at CrescentRating. Tawfiq leads the CrescentRating's research, data, rating and accreditation, and also the CrescentRating Academy team. Some of his notable achievements includes co-authoring multiple key market reports related to the halal travel and tourism ecosystem and the Muslim travel market, enriching travel experience for Muslim travelers worldwide. We're truly honored to have his insights today. So without further ado, the floor is yours, Tawfiq.
Great. Thank you so much, Arya. So yeah, good afternoon to all of you. And yeah, again, let me introduce myself. My name is Tawfiq. I'm the Research and Capacity Building Manager at CrescentRating. And today I'll be walking you through on how we can attract the new wave of the the young Muslim travelers. So yeah, obviously, when we're talking about young travelers, obviously I'm going to talk about the Gen Zs. My sincere apologies to all of the millennials here. You might be young in your heart, but your title as the young travelers has been dethroned by the Gen Zs. So why Gen Z? Yeah, just like the other generation, Gen Z actually possess unique characteristic that sets them apart with the other generation. So yeah, I think let's go ahead and discover more about them. Next slide, please. So when we refer to the definition, Gen Z can be described as the group of people born in between 1997 to 2012. So by this year, the oldest member of this generation has reached 28 years old. So if you think that Gen Zs are babies, you need to think twice because some of them are already having babies in real life. And then we also found that this generation is really interesting to be discussed. And that's why we actually created two research reports just to discuss about this generation. As you can see there, first we published our report that called Spilling the Tea on Gen Z. And then the second one, we create a report that we called as the Gen Z, the next generation of travelers. Being the first generation born in the digital age, Gen Zs are often considered true digital natives with exposure to the internet, social networks, and mobile devices from very early age. Gen Zs are actively redefining what it means to travel. Next slide. Talking about the demographics, globally, it is estimated that there are 2 billion Gen Zs, or around 26% of the global population. Out of the 2 billion, we estimate around 550 million of them are Muslims. This means that the percentage of Muslim Gen Z population are greater than the global ones at around 27.2% of the Muslim population. Or we can say that in 1 in every 4 Muslims on the earth are actually Gen Zs. And then if we look closely in the top global Muslim outbound source markets, we estimate that Muslim Gen Z populations reach 356 million, showcasing a potential market to be targeted. Next slide. So now, how do they travel? That might be the question that you guys are asking, right? So this data gives us a fantastic snapshot. So forget the idea of single annual vacation. 69% are actually taking 2 or more trips per year. Their main motivation, 85% say it's for vacation and holiday. And who they travel with, it's actually a mix. They travel with their parents, their friends, and the most interesting things are 43% of them are actually traveling solo. This is actually showing a huge jump in confidence and also independence in this generation. And then talking about independence, while many of them are still actually reliant on their parents, 32% are already paying from their own pocket. So this is pretty understandable since some of the members of this generation are only start working few years ago. And then one of the key facts is that they are actually digitally native, as can be seen by 73% of them are actually preferring the cashless payment method. And then finally, when it comes to accommodation, price is actually the key, but so is the vibe. 80% of them demand clean and aesthetically pleasing interior, or maybe we can call them as the Instagrammable accommodation. And then 77% needed to be budget friendly. Next slide, please. So let's not only look at the data, let's listen to what the leaders in this space are saying. So starting from the first one, from Mr. Fazal Bahardin, our CEO, he notes that Gen Z will lead the narrative and critically champion sustainability initiatives. And then Dr. Nisha Abubakar, the co-founder of World Women Tourism, confirms this, stating that they are more thoughtful and want to make a positive contribution. And then Safdar Khan, the division president of MasterCard Southeast Asia, points out that their influence is only going to grow, and they are already creating and guiding opinions. So the core theme is that this generation doesn't just consume travel, they influence, they contribute, and they also lead. Next slide. So in order to cater to this next generation of travelers, it is essential to understand the unique perspective of Gen Z when it comes to travel. So the question now, how do we understand the travel psyche? We develop a framework that we called as the 4A's narrative. Next slide. So in 2017, we developed a report on the Muslim millennials and identified the 3 A's: authentic, affordable, and accessible, that encapsulates the key travel patterns across the millennials' trip experience, from trip planning to experiencing to sharing with others. But then our report that we published, Spilling the Tea on Gen Z, we found out that the Gen Z adds a crucial fourth element, the one that defines them truly, which is actually adaptable. Affordability, authenticity, accessibility, and adaptability capture the spirit of Gen Z Muslim travelers, their principles, and the motivation behind their trips. So this single trait, adaptability, is what makes this generation of a Muslim traveler so unique. So now let's break all four down. Next slide. So at the center of the stage, the first one is affordability. This is their starting point. So it is not about being cheap, but it's more about being value for money. That is the word that they often use. So 72% of them say cheap flights or accommodation is key feature in picking a destination. 67% look for value for money destination. So we can say that this is the spend less, experience more generation. They're thrifty. And then one of our respondents said that one of the top concern is budget. If the budget is okay, they will definitely go. You can also see this on their food choices. 73% want restaurant that actually serve local cuisine, but 56% also need them to be pocket friendly. So as many researchers on Gen Z indicate, they intend to collect more memories over material things. Keeping this in mind, stakeholders have plenty to gain by preparing affordable services for the upcoming generation. This means that they'd rather stay in an Airbnb not just for the price, but as our report notes, for the value-added experience to blend in with the locals. So it's not just about the bed, but it's also a way to become authentic. Which brings us to the next slide, which is what we called as the authenticity. So authenticity is something that is non-negotiable for them. If we look at the data here, 65% of Gen Z travelers plan to do cultural immersion learning local traditions, eating local food, and also partaking in heritage. That's actually higher. If you see there, it's actually higher than shopping and also attending concerts. So we can say that Gen Z view traveling as an opportunity to immerse themselves with the culture and local scenes at their own pace, without being constrained to a fixed itinerary or whatsoever. So here we can also see that Dr. Nisa said they want to experience a destination like a local, not as a tourist. Our report calls this as keeping it legit. So they're tired of the traditional travel programs and they want to immerse themselves at their own pace. And then they also crave the unfiltered story from it. Next slide. Next slide is something that is also important, the accessibility. So if we're talking about accessibility here, accessibility has two meanings for Gen Z. The first one is the physical accessibility, the ease of access, the availability of public transport. These are really important and critical as noted by the interview participants that we can see here. But more importantly, it is actually about digital. So if you remember that Gen Z is considered to be digital natives. So inspiration is actually digital. 65% get it from the social media like TikTok, Instagram, and then 55% are actually getting it from influencers and also YouTubers. So this is actually just as high as the word of mouth, if you can see there. They rely on what we call as the holy trinity of apps. First one is search engines such as Google, and then the second one is like social media such as Instagram or TikTok, and then also the OTAs like Klook, Traveloka, Booking.com, and so on. OTA, they use OTA to find the cheapest and also the most efficient flights and also accommodations. Search engine is beneficial for them to find the halal food on the go. And then social media is for looking the places to visit, things to experience, and also the travel inspiration in general. So if you guys are not accessible in these platforms, unfortunately, we have to say that you don't exist in their world. Next slide, please. So next one, this is what we called as their superpower, the adaptability. So this is something that makes them different. They want to practice their faith. As you can see, 60% are actually drawn to the destination with rich Islamic heritage. But at the same time, they're also flexible. They will try to adapt. If there's no prayer room, they'll find an empty corner and perform their prayers. If they can find halal certified local food, they'll adapt by eating vegetarian, seafood, or even kebabs, so they prefer the local dish. They see themselves as traveler first. But there's a hard limit in their adaptability. That is one thing that we need to note down. So if you look at this chart, the chart, 57% are actually having a negative reaction to an attractive destination with Islamophobic sentiments. So they will adapt their schedules, their food, their prayer locations, but they will not adapt to feeling unsafe or unwelcome to a destination. So keep in mind that experience is something that is highly important for the Gen Zs. How easy and how welcome they are in a destination will affect how they perceive the destination and whether they will come back or recommend this destination to the others. Next. Now let's talk about other theme that is actually popular among Gen Zs, the sustainable and responsible travel. Gen Zs were constantly exposed through social media to social, environmental, and community causes, increasingly becoming champions of advocating sustainable practices in travel and tourism. This connects directly to their deepest motivation. They don't just travel to see the world, they travel to make it a better place. They're championing the social impact. They are the change advocate. And based on the study that we conducted, this break down into three interconnected roles. The first one is the intentional spenders. They support locally run businesses and guides. The second one is environmental enthusiasts, where they're conscious of their impact and seek eco-friendly options. And then the third one is actually they are social activists. They support fair wages and also community projects. So while traveling, Gen Z Muslim manifest their activism in the way they consume different services. They tend to spend more on the establishment that either local or support local communities. They will also support establishment that practice sustainability and tend to support initiatives that protect the environment. Next slide. So one of our report classifies Gen Z as the woke generation. For them, social consciousness is expected and climate justice is something that is demanded. So they grew up in a media saturated in war, economic failure, and also climate change debates. So they are dealing with the outcomes of these issues. Zero waste lifestyles and veganism are just the beginning. They want access to ethical means by pursuing their interests. They want to be part of amplifying the voices of those without privilege. And to back this up, as you can see here, over 75% of them are willing to pay more for the sustainable practices. 45% identify as environmental enthusiasts who factor this into their planning. And also half of them are actually interested in engaging with the local causes. So one of the main character of Gen Z is that they want to travel without contributing to the exploitation. So this is something that the industry needs to know, that they are actually paying attention to these details. Next slide. But with all this talk about new behaviors, the sustainability, the authenticity, the adaptability, we must remember the foundation. Their faith-based needs are still a priority for them. So as noted by one of our respondents, it is important for them to keep practicing their faith during the travel itself. Next. So their own words say it all. One of them said that I think it's most important for us is to be safe, happy, and be able to practice our faith whenever we travel. And then another one would be Muslim-friendly facilities such as halal food and praying facilities. Those are the important things for them. They talk about the challenge of finding halal food and the difficulty of finding a quiet spot to pray. So it is important to fully understand that for Muslim, regardless the age or generation, this is their core or basic needs that needs to be fulfilled wherever they are located in this world. This actually sparks a question for us all here. Does their adaptability here, which we celebrated here, is actually a reaction of the industry not fully meeting their core needs? I guess I'll just let you guys reflect on this question and then please feel free to answer it on your own. Next slide. So as you can see, the data is crystal clear here. Halal food is the number one need to have. 65% said that availability of halal food and accommodation is very important. And also 60% said the same for the proximity to halal eateries. So the challenge, as one of the traveler noted, is that our initial desire is to taste the halal local and authentic dish are not met. And they end up with kebab or probably the Middle Eastern cuisine. Prayer facilities, as you can see below, follows the same pattern. Proximity to mosque and the availability of amenities like prayer mats are both very important to over a third of the travelers. They will adapt by praying in empty spaces that they could find, but obviously the desire for proper facilities remains strong. Next slide. Okay. So as we saw, safety is also something that is highly important. So we can see here that 57% view Islamophobic sentiments negatively. So this is we can call as one of the major deterrent. And then another key practical need is actually over a half said that water-friendly washrooms are very important. So one of the traveler in our report even highlighted that the social awkwardness of this, worrying about being a bad customer or having a bad customer reviews in their Airbnb profile for wetting the toilet for during the ablution. So this brings a crucial insight. As one of the participants said that, I feel it is not important for hotels to be conservative. I want to be treated as the general traveler, at the same time catering to our faith-based needs. So this is actually echoes our reports perfectly. So they don't need the destination to be Islamic. Just if you're halal, if you have the facilities that can cater the Muslim, let them know. Make sure that they are fully aware of it. So the idea is never about changing the true identity of a place or a destination. The Gen Zs, they love the authenticity and they're looking forward to enjoy it. The true matter is about communicating the facilities and what you have to them. Therefore, they can also enjoy the journey while also fulfilling their religious needs. Next slide. So yeah, this is actually the perfect summary to their mindset. They want to be treated as the mainstream travelers, but at the same time, they also want for their core needs to be seamlessly met. So the question now is how do you market to them? Next slide. So it comes down into four key actions for you to note down. The first one is be authentic and also experiential. So it's not about selling a product, but it's about selling experiences. They want Instagrammable moments, they want authentic and also localized experience. So give it to them. Gen Zs try to break away from their usual routines and then try to give them something that is outstanding, but more importantly, something that they cannot get somewhere else. The second thing is about using their channels. So you need to be on TikTok, you need to be on Instagram, and then more importantly, you also need to collaborate with influencers and then also the fellow travelers. They trust their peers over brands. They try to maintain a positive image, about the destination in their eyes, and then they will help you to put your destination as the top of a mind in terms of destination choices. And then the third one is be transparent. So again, you remember that you are actually dealing with the woke generation. So brands must be transparent about what they stand on the social justice, especially. The Gen Zs appreciate honesty, even if it's something that is not perfect. So they value the effort and also the willingness to become a better personality. And then lastly is actually be flexible. They are spontaneous. They plan with a shorter lead time and then they expect to make a last minute booking and changes. So your system must be able to handle this kind of requirements. You can probably try to give them the surprise deals or whatever you can call it. Who knows? Maybe you're the one that end up being surprised by this move. Next slide. So now let's try to put all this into the action plan using the 4 Ps of marketing. First one is regarding the product. So from the product point of view, your product must evolve. Develop something that has a cultural immersion or even volunteerism. Ensure that halal and safety protocols are actually rock solid. And then for Muslim women, maybe you can create like women only or women only privacy options. In terms of price, focus on the value for money. But another thing that you can keep in your mind is that you can price in your sustainable practices and then inform them, tell them why is it worth it. Remember, as I explained previously, 75% of them are actually willing to pay more for the sustainable practices. And then the third one is regarding the place. I think this is a pretty simple. Be where they are, be reachable, and be bookable on the online channels that they use. So be on Instagram, be on TikTok, be wherever the place they are actually located. And then lastly is under the promotion. So remember again that your channels are TikTok and Instagram. Your messengers are actually the influencers and also the user-generated content. And then your message must be like them. So speak their language. They're tired of reading and then want bite-sized information that is actually reliable and fast. So try to provide them with this, and then hopefully it is something that can help you reach them. Next. Okay. Yep. So I think that's all the presentation that I have today. So yeah, again, thank you so much for attending the session today, and then thank you so much for listening. Now I think I will pass it back to Arya to moderate the Q&A session. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Tawfiq, for sharing those valuable insights. Now we'd like to move on into our Q&A session. This is your chance to engage directly with our speaker. A quick reminder, please keep your questions clear and relevant to today's topic. You can either use the raise hand feature to ask directly or simply drop your question in the chat box. We will do our best to address as many questions as the time allows and permits. So please go ahead. Yes, please, Mr. Defri Kustiawan.
Hi, before that, am I audible?
Yes, you are loud and clear.
Okay, thank you. First of all, I would like to say thank you for Mr. Tawfiq Ikhtianto for what a wonderful insightful for me, especially for the young generation as a Gen Z who see about the importance of tourism for any countries in this world. So before that, I would like to introduce myself. I'm Jeffrey Gusyawarman. I'm international relations student from Universitas Sriwijaya in Palembang, Indonesia. So talking about this as a Gen Z, I'm really into about the tourism and how, as a Muslim, also to engage and take a step to be part of this movement, especially of raising of Muslim or halal tourism, especially in Southeast Asia. So my question is, if we're talking about Gen Z, and you mentioned it before that we are into about the label that in our in some countries tourism about social issue or others we have to care about something to make the country will get attacked by the Gen Z. So what is really important to take that as an issue, especially for not stable country? I mean, like not not all the country in this world, especially non-Southeast Asian, are really into to publishing about the health tourism. How can the unmanaged country aside as non-RSC member to see the step to take an action to put that social issue as the aspect to encourage the Gen Z to travel into the countries. Thank you. I think that's all clear for you.
Thank
Okay.
you very much. So I'll pass it directly to Tawfiq.
All right, thank you. Okay, thank you so much, Jeffrey. Nice to meet you. So yeah, I think the question is pretty interesting. So yeah, as you know, and as all of us might already aware, that the sustainability and then responsibility issues is something that is increasing over the past few years. And then even us at Crescent Rating on the GMTI, we've been mentioning about this causes over and over again. I think since 2022, we start talking about the sustainability practice. And then even in 2023, we come up with a specific framework that we called as the RIDA framework. RIDA itself is actually encompassing about four aspects. The first one is the responsible, the second one is immersive, the third one is digital, and then the last one is actually assured. In the responsible part, we are actually talking about what are the efforts that are done by a lot of countries in terms of bringing inclusivity into travel itself. So yeah, the idea or the concept behind the responsible travel is actually right now, maybe if we're talking about like 10, 15 years ago, travel is something that is exclusive for a certain type of people, right? Because the cost of doing traveling is actually pretty expensive, and then it is something that has become a tertiary needs for most of people. And right now, since the cost has been lower, and then the connectivity between one places to another become easier to be handled, and more people are traveling, and then it's becoming a trend. And then by that, the expectation becomes higher, and then how we can include a lot of different type of people into one, and then allowing them to travel and then to experience the same thing as the others. So yeah, I think a lot of efforts are actually have been put. So in terms of social justice, I think the Gen Zs are actually one of the generation that I would say pretty vocal about this one. And then I think it is important because as you see previously on my presentation, it is something that is actually also divining their choices in terms of destination. So if they feel a particular destination is not really practicing, or it's not really something, it's not really promoting like social justice, or perhaps they're actually uh, treating the people in unfair way or something like that, they might be reluctant, or even the word that often used by them in social media is being canceled. So it is something that is need to be understood by destinations on how they need to maintain their positive image, and then able to welcome any kind of travelers, and then therefore allowing a positive image on them, and then reaching a bigger source market. So yeah, I guess that's my answer. Thank you so much.
Thank you for that, Tawfiq. I think that was a wonderful answer to a wonderful question. So we have another question from Anya Safira. She says, "Thank you very much, Mr. Tawfiq, for sharing rich insights about the Gen Z Muslim travelers. I noticed that there is a sort of conflicting point. On the one hand, the travelers value affordability, but they are also willing to pay more for sustainable practices. How do these two seemingly conflicting points come into play?"
Okay, thank you so much, Miss Anya here. So yeah, I think the part where they are mostly value affordability coming from the fact that most of them are actually pretty young. So in terms of the discretionary income, and then in terms of the income itself, they might not be as big as the previous generations, because again, they only entering the workforce a few years ago. So in terms of the savings and stuff like that, we it might not be comparable to previous generations. And then, yeah, this is actually something that we also found it to be interested, is that they're willing to invest, they're willing to put up something that is more, they're willing to pay more, although they value the affordability, they want something that is cheap, they're willing to pay something that actually aligns with their value. So that is something that can be take as a niche by all of the tourism, the industry players, on how, although the limited amount of money, as long as it's something that is actually aligns with their value, as long as it's something that is interesting to them, and then can be justified from their perspective, they're willing to pay for it. So yeah, I think that's the answer. So although it seems to be conflicting, but they actually want to invest more to something that is actually aligns with their beliefs.
Thank you very much, Tawfiq. Wonderful insights, and also thank you, Anya, for the wonderful question. Next, we have a question from Yun Damayanti. Assalamu alaikum. I am Yun from Indonesia, a travel writer. Any advice from Crescent Rating? What's the best thing to do for Indonesian SMEs to market or selling or convincing their eateries to international Muslim travelers? As your data show the willingness to taste local food in destinations as part of a cultural immersive experience. Thanks.
Okay, thank you so much, Messi and Damayanti, for the question. So yeah, I think it is pretty interesting when we're talking about SMEs. And yeah, it is true that the Gen Zs, one of the characteristics is that they prioritize to taste the local foods. And then I believe if we're talking about the Indonesian context, we might feel that most of the foods that are served in Indonesia would probably halal, because due to the Indonesian demographics that are around 87% being Muslims. So the question is how to sell it and how to convince it. I think there are two approach for this question. The first one is to ensure that you're doing a proper promotion to the foods, because again, if we're talking about Indonesia, we're talking about a lot of different type of foods. If we're talking about like the Sumatra part of Indonesia, they have a different food that we can find from the ones in Java or even in Bali or even in Lombok or wherever it is. So that is the first one. Try to introduce what are the foods that are actually available in Indonesia and what is the authentic food of Indonesia. The second one is the halal certification. I think one of the government of Indonesia's effort is actually to introduce the halal logo to make it more visible and also providing halal certification for the SMEs. So this is something that also needs to be supported because here again, the assurance, the halal itself is not actually just a certification. It's not a way to make the businesses hard or difficult. It's not about that. The halal certification, the importance of that is actually to show, to give the assurance to the Muslim, especially the young ones, that this food are actually safe for them to eat. It's something that they can consume and it's something that they can enjoy. So by putting the halal certification, all of the travelers, the ones, especially the ones that are Muslim, know that they're actually eating a food that is actually halal, that they can consume, and then also it's something that is actually safe for them because again, the halal itself, the halal certification ensures the quality of the food that is provided. So yeah, I hope that answers your question. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tawfiq. So the key point is that making halal assurance present and clear is one of the key aspects of introducing Indonesian cuisine to international travelers. So as we still have some time, we are still open for questions. So please feel free to raise your hand or type in your question in the chat box if you have any questions. While we wait, why don't you people in this webinar tell us, have you noticed more Gen Z travelers recently traveling independently or in groups? Just type yes if you agree or not really if not. So while waiting for your response to our poll, we have follow-up questions from Mrs. Yun. Thanks, Mr. Tawfiq. Just to ensure, do you mean the halal certification must be shown at their eateries? So Tawfiq, do you think it's best that they show their halal certification?
Yep. Yeah. Thank you for the question. Yeah. Definitely. As much as possible, showcasing the halal certification is something that is important. Again, if you notice, on one of my slides, I put up an interview that we did to one of the Gen Z travelers. So it's not about making the destination Islamic. It's not about Islamization of the destination or halalification of the eateries or something like that. But it's more about if you have something, you need to show it to us. You need to show it to them. You need to be able to inform them and then make them know that they're actually safe and assured whenever they're eating at a particular space. Again, I agree with Miss UC mentioned up there. As the Gen Zs are more conscious spenders, so if it's something that is actually aligned with their beliefs, and then it's something that is aligned with their values, and then they're okay with it, and then that's completely something that is fine for them, and then they will try to purchase it. So yeah, I hope that answers your question. Thank you.
Thank you very much again, Tawfiq. So I think the key point we can take from that is that Gen Zs want to feel safe wherever they go. So we have another question from Faizi Muhammad. As a tour operator in Scotland, UK, how can I communicate and price a new Volvo tourism package like working at a Scottish farm with sheep and Highland cows to youth travelers and students in the UK?
Okay, yeah, I think this is a pretty interesting question. So yeah, I think for Faizi, if we're talking about a volunteerism package, working in a Scottish farm with sheep and Highland crows. Okay, yeah, I think this is a pretty niche experience. So yeah, I think you've already take one of the most important things in attracting the Gen Z. It's all about experience. So yeah, definitely spending time with the sheeps and then the highline cows is something that is new to them, and then probably an experience that they would never be able to get somewhere else. So you've already taken the first one, and then the second one, if we're talking about the volunteerism. Again, you need to show what are the values that you're offering within the package itself, and then make sure that it is something you're showing that this thing is actually being good to the animals, so it's against the animal cruelty, and then make sure that the cows or the animals that are available within the farm is actually treated fairly and things like that. And then the second thing, if you're targeting the Muslim ones, definitely showcase that this package is actually including like the halal food that are available there, and then also make sure that the required amenities such as the prayer places or the halal food are satisfied within this one. And then hopefully it helps you to communicate what are the values that you got to the your target markets. So yeah, hope that answers your question. Thank you.
All right, so before we go to our final question, I'd just like to read out this comment from Yasmin Siddiqui. Thank you for a great presentation, Brother Tawfiq. Yes, more Gen Z traveling, but we created tailored, affordable packages, and then they tend to DIY their trips. Sometimes it is difficult to compete with Airbnb. I agree. So, on to our final question from Mr. Christian M. What new travel experiences, such as Muslim-friendly luxury retreats, solo travel options, or eco-conscious pilgrimage, are emerging in response to this generation's expectations?
So yeah, I think mainly this is something that is emerging in partially, yes, I would say. So yeah, again, first of all, back then, if we're talking about travel, you might get limited option, especially because due to the market itself. Right now, with the Gen Zs, with their high exposure to the social media, and then I think one of the thing is also mentioned by what is it? What's the name previously? I'm sorry. By I think, yeah, I think previously it's mentioned that some travelers tend to create tailored packages, and then they tend to do trips on their own, and then they do DIY trips. So these are the inspirations, you know. I think since Gen Z have a different requirements, and then it's kind of difficult to really determine what they want, because again, every day on the social media, on TikToks, you will find new trends, and then it actually stimulates their needs, their creativity, and then yeah, again, it's something that is completely new for them, and then they are actually pretty enthusiastic to this one. And then that's why one of the things that I would say is that probably this emerging trends is actually in response and partially inspired by the Gen Zs itself. So yeah, I hope that answers your question. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tawfiq. So, I think we can take one final question. So, Alex Mayono, you've raised your hand. Feel free to,
Hi, Sir Arya and Sir Tafik. This is Alex Mayona from Mega World Hotels and Resorts. I just have a quick question because we're trying to incorporate our local dishes to be halal certified or halal friendly. My question is hopefully would the Gen Zs or like would the young travelers be more enticed to try local foods that are halal, or would they be more stick with the with the own halal friendly usual dishes, Muslim dishes?
Okay. Okay, all right. I think I'll just answer directly. So yeah, thank you so much, Alex, for the question. So I think this is also something that I have already explained on the slides previously. They are actually looking for the halal local dishes. So part of their mission whenever they travel to new places is actually to become one with the culture of the local genius of the place of the destination. So whenever they travel to new places, they would like to try something that is actually authentic from that place. And yeah, again, since they're Muslim, one of the requirement of the food is to be halal. As much as possible, they would like to have something that is actually halal, but also local. So if you can satisfy these needs, it's something that is definitely really great and bringing more values to them. But if it's something that is too difficult, again, they're pretty adaptable. They're also okay to find the alternative. So if it's only the West, the let's say only the Middle Eastern foods that are halal, they're okay to try to eat it. But as much as possible, they want to taste the local or the authentic taste that is actually halal. I hope that answers your question. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Tawfiq. So, do you think, Tawfiq, that we can squeeze in two more questions? I think we still have a
Okay.
bit more time.
All right. Okay. I think let's try to do two more questions. I'll try as much as possible to keep it on within
All
the
right.
time frame.
So, we have a question from Emina Nizic. Thank you for the presentation. Could you please send it to my email? And her question is also, I have a question. What do you think about Sarajevo as a destination for Muslim travelers?
Okay. Thank you so much, Amina, for the question. Yeah, I think for the first one, I think my team will send it to you. So probably after this, you can be in contact with Arya or Nabila to get the presentation emailed to you. On the second one about Sarajevo, I think it's pretty interesting. I've never been to Bosnia before, but it's one of my bucket list to visit Sarajevo. Yeah, I think I don't have a lot of information, but as far as I know, if we're talking about the Gen Zs, as long as their needs is satisfied, and then I think what I know from Sarajevo is that you have actually a lot of cultural places, and then also a lot of buildings that are actually good. So it's something that is interesting to be visited. So if you can educate me more about the destination, because I'm sorry, I have limited information for now regarding Sarajevo. But I think every destination has the same chance to be popular. Every destination has the same chance to be visited. So if you're putting up enough information, and then if you have the facilities to support the needs of the Muslims, I truly believe that the Muslims will come. I hope that answers your question. Thank you.
And finally, another question from Mrs. Yun. Any update which countries that have a big potential or market resources for Gen Z Muslim travelers? I think Indonesia too focuses to the Middle East, Singapore, and Malaysia.
Okay, I think in terms of countries that have a big potential or uh, sources to attract the Muslim Gen Zs, I believe every destinations have that, because Gen Zs are actually looking for a lot of different things. They're open to do the natural excursions. They're open to the culture. They're actually open to the old buildings and stuff like that. They're open to the experience. So I believe every destination has the same potential. So as long as you're putting up the right promotion, as long as you're willing to target this market, then everyone has the potential to come. I think one of the example that I can put is actually Hong Kong, since as Crescent Rating, we've been working closely with Hong Kong. So for your information, previously in 2024, there were only like probably 20 or something halal eateries in Hong Kong. halal certified eateries, and right now it's already 150. And then based on our research in the GMTI, we see that actually there is a significant increase in terms of Muslim travelers coming to Hong Kong. And then the demographics itself is actually showing that quite a lot of them are actually Gen Zs. The effort that they're doing is actually they make the facilities available, they're promoting it, and they're also actively promoting it using influencers. So if you see, there are quite a lot of influencers coming from Indonesia, coming from the UK, Muslim influencers especially, they're promoting Hong Kong as one of the destinations to be to attend. So yeah, I believe that every destination has the same chance and has the same potential as long as they're willing to do that and then they're able to do that.
All
So yeah,
right.
I guess that answers your question. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tawfiq. So we've come to the end of our session. So next slide, please. Thank you very much. Thank you once again for your thoughtful participation and engagement and wonderful questions. Before we wrap up, here are some important notes. A recording link of this webinar will be sent to your inbox, available and accessible for 3 days only. Your feedback is highly valuable to us, so a short feedback questionnaire will also be included in the follow-up email. We'd really appreciate it if you could take a few minutes to share your thoughts. It will help us make the future sessions even better. On behalf of CrescentRating Academy, thank you for joining us for Halal Tourism 101, Episode 4. We look forward to seeing you in our upcoming episodes. And until then, stay safe, take care, and Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you so much, everyone. Assalamu alaikum.